Hi, you have found this video and either you were there at the session and listening again, or you missed the session or listening to it now, or maybe you came across it somehow on YouTube or an internet search. What you're seeing is a recording of these sessions that are alumni sessions for those who have been in the Certified Agile Leadership class, either the one-day essentials or the one day for teams, or the one day on leading organizational change from the Scrum Alliance. My name is Scott Dunn, and in these sessions, once a month, we have open topic forums. So you get to listen to the questions that other previous students are raising and hear a group discussion about those topics, what we call lean coffee, or a topical session on a topic that the students have requested and voted up as the top vote getter in going through those. If you have not been in our Certified Agile Leadership courses, please take a look. Go to rocket9solutions.com and you'll find out more information there, or go to the Scrum Alliance. And you can find other certified Agile leadership classes there, not necessarily from me, but you can find other options there. We run the class twice a month on Eastern time and on Pacific time. So if you haven't been and are involved in the Agile transformation at your company or wish to be involved and support it, please take a look at that. Otherwise, enjoy the session you're about to listen into and hope it's of some value to you. Good luck on your journey. A couple other things that were interesting on that have come up recently. There was an interesting blog post by Bob Galen. For those who don't know Bob Galen, he's also a enterprise coach, and I have a lot of respect for Bob. I like him. He's written a few books, and I like those too. But he makes this comment about the what do you call it, the certification industrial complex, and it rang true in the end. The reason I comment on his post was I think in the end, I mean, some of us are just colleagues. Some of you have been students. For my students, I genuinely care that you learn and grow and that you're successful in your career, right? So sometimes we end up chasing things. I always feel like, I don't know if that's actually going to help. Like people say, hey, what do you think about the PMI's, their Agile certification, the ACP? And I say, I think it's a fabulous amount of content. I think it's, really covers more perhaps, and, well, not perhaps more than the CSM, and nobody knows what it is. So if you just want to learn and grow, great, but it's not going to help you land a job. So some of this is brass tacks. So anyways, that came up today. So it's interesting to comment. And since this is not a Scrum Alliance training, I can say honestly, I was nervous, like the Scrum Alliance to say, hey, why are you supporting a path to learning and growth that's not about a Scrum Alliance certification as a Scrum Alliance certified Scrum trainer, right? That's just true. So, but I think what Bob's talking about a program in England that's more about small cohorts, kind of like the Cal 2 program, which I did comment to that. I said, look, we do have that, but it's only for Agile leadership. It's not for the Scrum Masters. So that came up. Looks like there's only one. So Carol, man, this is your day. You're going to get all the votes. You'll get 100% of the votes. We'll do that. Let's start. We can start. We can add some more. Anything else on anyone's mind? Because this is
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to that whole thing about the certifications is great, but a lot of times you get new concepts, new theories that are coming out, and you go to their website, try to find information. They're like, no, you have to go to a training and you have to pay to find out what the basic concept is and to get certified on it. And to me, that's not right. I'm trying to get more information, some sort of research or some sort of a book or something just to get into it. But no, you have to go to like a complete certification, pay money to find out what it's about.
Yeah.
That's problematic to me. I think I'm trying to learn. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, we're learning on what I've learned a lot these last 6 months about. Well, here's a comment I wouldn't have made. And I'm going to vote. I'll vote on Carol's. Because I didn't want to sound negative, but I think I feel the group that shows up here is a level above. We're more like truly professionals. We're not just people running around, throwing out Agile terminology and fronting. I think that's the term the kids use. Fronting like we're really Agilists. This group I feel is seasoned. So here's what I would have put in LinkedIn if I didn't think it would have been taken wrong by too many people. And that is, let's be honest, I could offer a fabulous growth program that takes a lot of time and is very thorough, et cetera, and no one will sign up for it. We've done that, by the way, because what people want is essentially quick and easy. Yes, I want to learn, but more importantly, I want the appearance I know this stuff within 2 days. I don't got more time than that. Well, then, and let's be honest, we can knock certifications. I know some fabulous people who know some really cool stuff. We even help them, like we'll list their classes, we'll put stuff up. No one signs up for it. It's not certified. This just is what it is. I mean, so some of this is just we're humans. So I'm all for some of these things, but I'm thinking these things, they've got their issues. Yes, Ben.
Yeah, I think you hit it right at the beginning. Is you need to understand what outcome are you looking for. You know, if you're interested in learning and getting better at what you want to do, there may be a small intersection with I want to get a job. I want to do the things that will help me get a job. There is an intersection in there, but they are separate things. It was actually at an open space. The first open space I ever went to, a good friend of Scott and I's, Roger Brown, had a session that was just talking about certifications. And I asked him about the CSP. I said, the CSM, I see it on every job thing. And this was 6-7 years ago. I see it on everything, but all you have to do is fog a mirror to get that. But I was thinking about applying for the CSP, and I looked at what the requirements were, and I thought, this will make me feel like I have gotten to the next level. So I'm interested in doing that and measuring myself against my peers. But does anybody in the marketplace understand it? And the answer was a very quick no. So it's the same with the SAFE certifications. You can spend a lot of money and a lot of time getting it. You're not going to be able to do stuff right away on it from the training, right? But it does open doors. So you need to understand anytime you're going to go to a learning experience, what is it you're trying to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Great point.
When I interview, if I see certifications, I'll ask people why, what did you learn from that certification? But a much more impactful question for me is, what do you do to get better at what you do?
Huge.
And that's not necessarily, probably a lot of it is not certifications.
Here's my favorite one, and then we'll go through these. But at that, I love asking, so how do you apply this in your own personal life? Oh, then you see if they really oh no, that's just for work. Well, okay. So let's go through these. Carol, you have two. Just give us a quick overview of these in case people want some more information before they vote. I put one in there. You can still add others for those who want to, but go ahead, Carol.
Can I just share a real quick personal story on the certification thing?
Yeah, please go ahead.
30 seconds. At the same time, I took your Cal O class last year. I signed up for to go from advanced Scrum Master to professional, but through another company. And I'm still working through that program. Like, the program is so rigorous in the amount of homework and stuff that it has, and that they want you to practice like at your job, that it's taken me 9 months to get through. It's like a pace, but anyway, just thinking about the balance of practice and do the, and definitely, a balance, and that it's essentially taken me, what is like 9 or 10 months to get that additional certification. Whereas I'm guessing other programs, it might be 2 days learning and then they give it to you.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Am I
that I picked that one, and it's taken me a long time.
Am I the only one?
The two that I have, I guess in there is one at our organization. I work in an agile enablement office, a small group, and I've been asked. Go ahead. Can you not hear me, or?
It was cutting out.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was the only one who heard you, Carol, going in and out with some delay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
You broke up a little bit, Carol.
I don't know, audio problems. I'm not sure, or I mean, internet problems. But
Yeah. Well, while you give us your overview, turn off the video and see if that helps on the upload, and we'll listen.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you can hear me now, hear me better. but,
Perfect. Perfect.
So just the Agile maturity assessment one, I'm wondering, so I've joined again our Agile effort last year, and then there was a big change in leadership. And so they want like a current state of Agile at the organization. And so I'm working on putting together, but it just made me wonder, a lot of people do Agile assessment at a team level. I'm wondering if anyone's using like the organizational level assessments, and if they're going through a transformation where they're using those periodically, and they review and take action on those, and just kind of how are they using them? If so, what are they using like from Scrum Alliance? Where are they getting the material? That kind of stuff. So that's kind of that. Just wondering in practice if that's happening. And then on the other one, it's just a continued struggle as I'm working with teams, understand agile practices, and even just the agile that as far, still.
It just dropped at the end there, Carol. Everything is going okay.
Might look like. I don't know what part you heard or not heard.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think that question is pretty clear. So we'll run with that. And I understood. I did catch everything you said about the assessment. So I think that that's helpful. Unless anyone else has questions for clarification on those two. And I put one on there, and again, feel free, whatever's on your mind. I added one because there's something very interesting to me that came up. I'm going through, or just finished Patrick Lencioni's, I don't know, 3 reasons CEOs fail. No, 5 temptations of a CEO. And like all of his other books, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. But there was a similarity because then later on, I heard this comment on a sports radio where very clearly there's a pattern of top performers, in this case, we're talking about quarterbacks, very successful, great track record, and then completely fell in the NFL, in the professional league. And why is that? And then the similarity between both of those is that essentially it's all about them. And if it's all about them and looking good, all sorts of bad things can fall out from that. So I thought that was really interesting. The similarities are interesting. I also made me think, for those who are frustrated, senior leadership isn't supporting you. Well, if it's this kind of CEO, they probably never will. They probably never will. So then it's kind of cool. So what would you do with that? You can decide to work on it or, go somewhere else. But it was helpful for me to hear that. That also aligns with something that Don Cotter said about people that are resistant, that sometimes they'll never get on board. Doesn't matter what you say, what facts you give, what stories you tell. They just won't. So I thought that was interesting. I can give a summary of that. And if there's nothing else, we'll start. Shari, nothing from you. Crystal, you're good? Okay. All right, I'm seeing this. Okay, she's good. All right, so this is a good one. The assessments, 5 minutes. Anyone want to share what you've done in terms of assessments, or what you'd recommend or suggest to someone in Carol's situation for assessing the org level, not the team level?
Yeah, the Auto Club is actually doing an assessment right now. They got till May 5th to get all of our assessments done. I think we have a survey. I think 4 levels of distractors, you might say, need to work on, whatever, of 33 questions, 5 or 6 categories, and it's really assessing the our agility, but also is getting down to an innovation. How's the PO doing? How's the actual Scrum Master doing? And just assessing various ways that you can improve. So it's definitely, if you hit like a 2, that's kind of like where we're at. But also maybe you want to go to a 3. You have to do certain things to get to a 3. It gives you kind of a roadmap how to get to the next level. Only challenge we have is with the Agile Scrum type of framework that we're using, we use Scrum also for operational teams, which you can do that, but it's really hard to translate that when the assessment's written for software developers. So so you get the people that work in infrastructure like, we're not developers, and so you have to get that translation layer going, and it kind of ticks them off, like, why don't you do it for us? So we're getting that kind of like that that type of conversation happening, and it's kind of like impeding the actual assessment itself because it's alienating people. So why don't you create another one for the operational? Make an assessment more agile for the operational type of team, maybe a little bit more Kanban-ish or something. That's in the works. So I think our agile team here, services, their maturity level is not very high. Maybe they need to be working on maturity level, increase their awareness of what's happening with the organization. But yeah, we're doing it right now. It's useful. We can definitely use it to assess where we're at, where we're going. But I think it's just more results oriented, not really outcome oriented. And management likes numbers, and it's just like, is there a lot of value there? That's one question. I don't know.
Ben?
Is
Go ahead, Carol.
it a custom?
Yeah, Carrie, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Or put it in the chat.
The chat.
perhaps.
Yeah, let me get the chat here. But I think it's a good to have an assessment. I know it's the CMMI assessment, a little bit different focus, of course. With Agile, it's a little bit different. I don't know. Yeah, it's custom. Ours is custom created. We create a customized, build out the questions. But I think there's some value there. I think it does help, but it definitely depends on what type of. If you work in a more of a component team environment, you're going to be, it could be problematic.
So I'll jump in if you want. I'm very, very anti-organizational assessment because the bad behavior, especially if you're capturing things and reporting them to the management side, just especially in an organization that's older or in transition, erupts, and I don't find a lot of value in it. So conversely, I would say that if you have a agile organization and you have an agile enterprise coach, like the role I'm in with other coaches under it, I consider it to be my responsibility to consistently assess, and the coaches under me to assess, and the Scrum Masters under them to assess the maturity and denote issues for improvement. So it's your responsibility to identify areas that can be coached up, areas that can be improved, and things like that. But as part of a formal mechanism to report to managers or supervisors, or
yeah, what's the purpose, right, Scott? Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
It's more anti-behavior than it is positive behavior.
And where's the value? Yeah, I agree.
So I normally am not a big enjoyer of assessments with 53 arms of a spider chart, and the data, the difference between a 2 and a 3 is indeterminate. But I've really become a fan of the Path to Agility, just the whole program. But part of that is it has an assessment component, and it works at the team, the system, and the organizational level. But what I like about it is it feeds back into the business outcomes that the company thinks are important. So you're not just saying you're doing well here, you're not doing well here, or you have room to improve here, but also that it feeds back into the things that they said were important. And I think it's that connection between an asynchronous assessment and what you're doing, where something says, here's what here's the thing we're measuring, here are the acceptance criteria on them, here's why we think this is about where you are, and you said this was important to you, and that's why maybe we should work on it. So I think that's in line with what the two previous people were saying, is that it's outcome driven, not just a lagging indicator.
Yeah, but companies like the metrics, they like those results, and they think the results correlate to a the stakeholders happy. And I don't think that's true at all. I think there were two results happy. There might, at least my auto club here, results, 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 metrics, metrics, metrics. It's not translating anything that's at least not enough of good outcomes, and that's
Yeah, on
for
that-
me. Yeah.
Yeah, on the P2A assessment, you can get numbers out of it. It does relate to numbers, but it's not simply an assessment and here's where you're good and bad. It's an assessment that ties back to the things that we said we were going to try to do as part of this transformation. And it reflects back to what you said was important. And I think that correlation helps make it be more than just a carrot and stick kind of a number.
Yeah. I agree with both. Yes, Kim, people, they want to see real numbers. P2A can show you real numbers in terms of are we doing the things that get you there, but also they kind of say like, well, what metrics do you want to use? And they have recommendations. If you took the P2A, like if you went through it in part of the CAL, we don't have that. And they might have even moved it off of the normal one, but I can always send you like, here's suggested metrics they use for quality, time to market, employee engagement, right? So, but you still have to kind of decide because in the end that's tailored. But I'm with you. If I'm leadership and I think competing values framework, I'm blue, I want to see results. I think it's fair for them to say, show me the money, show me the results. We're investing a lot. This is disrupting a lot. And I agree. Are we getting something from it? Now, the challenge is, I think if you just throw in these, I mean, early on at a large financial institution, and I said, so, what are you using for metrics? Because they're saying like, here's that, we're making progress. So what metrics are you using? Number of teams using Scrum. Like that makes no sense. I mean,
Yeah, but Scott, why don't you, I would definitely for outcomes, why don't you assess or do some sort of survey to the customers themselves? How do we do and how are we delivering? Go to the customers and get their feedback and use that for actually how we're doing, not just the results. It's like, yeah, we're doing a perfect project here,
yes,
but we're not delivering
absolutely.
what they want. Go to the
Absolutely.
customer and vet the customer and get, I mean, that's a lot of, I think that's a lot more valuable than just doing the
agree, Ken.
burn down
100%.
charts and.
Yeah, exactly. Number of people on Scrum teams the customer could give could care less, but Net Promoter Score, absolutely, right? And I think Net Promoter Score is a great one for customer satisfaction. So yeah, I'm with you. I'll try to dig those up while we're chatting and put those back in. Yeah, and I do feel if we're not careful with assessments, it can actually do damage, and it can waste a lot of time. So I'm very conscious of that. To Scott Quiggle's point of, let's not use this as some blunt instrument because it can mess some stuff up. Ben, I see your hands up.
Yeah, this is kind of, I've been lately on this rampage of treating transformations like a product. And I think with what was just said, I would go even one step behind that. It's not just how are we doing on delivering this value, but I would start earlier and say, let's come to a common understanding of what it is that you expect from this transformation. In other words, when we define a product, we spend a lot of time, there's all kinds of techniques for saying, let's be very clear on what this product is, who does it affect, what does it do, what does it not do, what are the features, and you even come down to an MVP. And I think if we did that on the transformation, if the first day of the transformation, we sat with the sponsors and the people who are going to be impacted, all the personas, and said, here's what we expect to do. Now we have a baseline against which we can feedback and decide if we're delivering what was commonly expected. Yeah,
I'd like to circle back just on one last thought on that one, though. In all fairness, this is what I've been camping out. And by the way, Ben, I love what you're doing with transformation as a product. I think it's one of the best ideas I've heard in a while, and I hope to see it come to fruition some more. But I would say this, my friends, as I come back, and we keep coming with these clients who are coming and asking us on their second, third, fourth attempt to go Agile. That's our current record. This is the fourth attempt. if they're to say, how's the Agile transformation going? How would you answer, and how do you know? And I don't even have a preference of that, but I do feel it's fair to be able to answer that. I would prefer quantitative and qualitative measures, but how many of us can't say how it's going or say so with any confidence? I mean, your gut can tell you, you're all experienced enough to know. The stakeholders don't. How do you give them confidence? How do you give them the continued support? Or hire those additional Scrum Masters, or create a new Agile coach role with job family within the org, right? How do we justify these things? You got to help them help you. And I think numbers is a good way to do it. That's just my 2 cents. Oh, Kim's got a drop. Bummer. All right.
Gotta have some kind of metrics in order to justify things like that. I have to deal with that all the time. So, but I gotta say, Ben, that sounds like a title of a book to me. Are you writing a book? Transformation
I don't know if you know Lakshmi down at Pacquiao, but she and I put submissions into both the Scrum Gathering and Agile 2023, and they were less impressed than everyone else I've talked to. But we just got on the schedule of the Agile Coaching Exchange West for their end of May meeting, and I think that's the approach that Lakshmi and I are going to be taking to go to small meetups and the like. I'm actually want to put a what is it called? The 20 and 20 Pekka Kacha.
Yeah.
Pekka Kacha. It's 20 slides, 20 seconds each. I think what we're going to do is put one of those together to get our juices flowing, and that might be a good thing to. So that's 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Anyway, yeah, it's something we're trying to develop. So I'm glad there's interest in it.
I've been a kind of founding member of ACE West for a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll watch the calendar for you.
Yeah, it's the 4th. I think it's the 4th, whatever. We're on the schedule, and it should be in the meetup. And if Alicia would keep prodding me, we'll get the bios and the discussion up there. So
send that, by the way, Ben, send that info, because we'd love to send it out to all of our people.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to call that one. I think we have beat the assessment dead horse. Way to go. Carol just mentioned this one, and that probably is one of our longest ones in a while. Move that over to done. And well, we're in a tie. Any tie-breaking votes? I'll put in the I'm not sure if everyone has it. So I'll give a second in case anyone else wants to vote that didn't get a chance to vote yet. If not, I'm gonna move Carol's up. That dot looks bigger.
Is voting turned off?
Is it?
I can't seem to vote.
Well, hold on. Oh, now I've got to. So well, now I'm locked in this, kicking it off. I thought you could keep. I get maybe it stops after we start it. Yeah, you're seeing Scott's love-hate relationship with tools. I guess you can't keep voting. So we'll kick this one off. I was just going to put in something quick on this, and that is the mindset shift. Clearly we already went through, like, you can take a class. It's challenging because I don't know if the right leaders don't usually go to the class. I think the mid-management comes to the class and tries to influence some of that. But you could take, like, our classes based on Bill Joyner's Leadership Agility, and they do offer a 360, and then coaching through that, which could be an option. But there's lots of 360. Leadership Circle is a really good one too, and then there can be support for that. So that might be an option, just saying, hey, we just want to, HR is usually very supportive of it, and say we'd like to do a profile it, and then see if you can get the supporting training after the assessments. One thing to get the assessments, a very different thing to try to help them shift the mindset. If you could equip your internal Agile coaches with that same information so they can meet with them one-on-one, tremendous support and help. But that means the Agile coaches have to kind of go through and, like, I know the model, I know how to help them with it, I know how to maybe even administer the 360. Agile Leadership Journey does have a whole bunch of people who are certified by that Leadership Agility group from Bill Joyner. I mean, I am, but I don't really do that. I don't focus on that, but you can find plenty of others. That's mainly what they do. And I think that would be a tremendous help and support to you. That's my 2 cents. Anyone else on helping leaderships as far as a program or tool, assessment, etc.?
I'm looking at the title here. I don't have anything about assessments on that, but on the middle management mindset, I think, first of all, I've given up talking agile to mid managers and just talk about common sense, and then apply it to in whatever agile framework or method we're using. And with middle management, it's kind of what's in it for me. Like a good attorney, you only ask questions you know the answer to. When I'm working with middle management folks, the question I think that gets them most starting to understand the benefits of agility is, do you get smarter? Right? Do you get smarter? And that came from the thing that turned me from my PMP mindset to more of an agile mindset was a book that was written for people like me. It was the Software Project Manager's Bridge to Agility. And one of the first things it said in there was, you never know less about something you're working on than at the beginning, right? So if you talk to a product person, let's say in middle management, and they're used to saying, well, I tell you what I want, you tell me when I'm going to get it, in the old way of doing things. Well, the first thing you can ask them is, how's that work for you? How has that worked before? And it hasn't. But if you say, well, if you get smarter, how would you like to have a way where, as we're developing what we're working on for you, we can integrate your new learning into that process with minimal impact? There will be some impact, but you're not going to have a change control board, and you haven't spent 3 months on doing your planning. If that makes sense to you, now we can talk about which framework, which process are the right ways to do it, so that as you learn, as you see what your competitors are doing, as you start seeing incrementally what we're doing and want to change what we're doing, that the way we've set up, the way we're delivering that work will have minimal impact by doing it. And I think by talking that way, rather than, 5 ceremonies and all this other stuff, you start getting them on your page, and then you can start talking about the implementation specifics. It's only taken me 10 years to figure that out.
That give you something to work with, Carol? That's a resounding yes. All right. Good. Oh, okay. That's fine. But again, follow up, Carol, because I think it could go in a couple of directions, and I probably want more information on that. But I think we'll say this, Carol. I think everyone here deals with that. I've yet to have seen that leadership really gets it and is on board at any of these organizations. There'll be a few, but mostly no. And how do we do that? Well, there's lots of different ways we could do that. I'm just glad you're trying to do the right thing there. Ongoing. All right, so I'll let that one wrap. This is a small cozy group this time, and I'm glad you pinged me, Ben, today. So I'll finish that one. And I kind of mentioned this already. The book. Let's move this one over to done. There we go. The book was 5 Temptations of a CEO. Definitely recommend that. Well, to understand what's really going on inside a CEO's head on the personal level, I thought it was insightful, what they wrestle with. But that one that really got me is the first temptation of it's all about me and my career. And so that works to a point, like you're moving up in the career ladder, you're getting promoted, et cetera. Great, good job. Now you're a CEO. Now what? Because that's the end. Well, now you got to make sure you hold on to that position. So you don't want to take risks. You don't want to lean in. You don't want to look bad. You got to make sure that the people that report to you have their support. So you don't maybe really hold people accountable to things, because that would be difficult. That would trouble this relationship that I want to make sure stays strong, because it's essentially, I've got to defend my position now. And when I heard that, I thought that explains a lot of different things that I've seen. And it's human nature, and it makes perfect sense. But for us in our field, that explains why we run into this logjam of we're trying to bring about change and try something new and take risks. And yes, people will be upset, all of which is not on the top list of the CEO. They'll say it, they'll talk it, but we've all seen when push comes to shove, we need to be tactical about that. We don't need to get religion on this. We need to, anyways. So it just gave me comfort. And it also made me think, I guess the other takeaway is, for the people that come to me saying, what do I need to do to get leadership support? I'm more comfortable saying, oh, you may never get it. So because the real question to me is, what would you do if you don't ever get it? So you can stay at your job and hate it, or it can suck the life out of you. or, you know, you decide to have some agency and figure some things out. I just don't want any of us being stuck in the situation of, you know, I've been trying to get the support here for 7 years. Like, yeah, that's way longer than I've been trying to make this relationship work for 7 years. Yep, that's probably 6 more than I would have given it. So I think there's more there, but I also found it fascinating, the corollary with the top quarterbacks who struggle in professional sports, because what they found was, and it takes some sneaky kind of interviewing before the draft day, but they can tell the ones that are equally exceptional, but one really, it's all about looking good. And if it's all about looking good, you know, what happens when there's not a crowd, it's just practice? What happens when you fail and you're not looking good now at that higher level? How do you handle that? Well, maybe you don't, because some of these people maybe have been successful for many, many, many years, but it wasn't about that they love the sport, or in our case in work, they love the work they do. They love looking good. And so when things turn on that, how they respond, I thought was really interesting. So they can, some of these people who have insight can predict the top, they're great at what they do, but for the wrong reasons, and then they'll fail. I thought that was an interesting corollary that I'd like to follow up on. Anyways, that's the nuts and bolts of it. I have no preference. And since it's mine, I can just finish it. We might be out of class early today. How about that? You know what? It's Friday. Take the rest of the day off, everyone. Anything else? I'm trying to think of it. One, thank you, Ben, for mentioning that about, I was going to say for announcements, but thank you for mentioning it. I'm really excited that you're continuing off that. And I'd love to pick up our conversation about any way to support or help or even participate in it for whatever that's worth. Any other announcements though from anyone else? I will say I just got told by my team that like the next 3 cows are all guaranteed to run, which is shocking. But if you want other people to join in, just know that those ones will run. And the Path to Agility one's going to run, which is very rare too. So if you want to go through that, we actually are kicking off one this week. So we actually set out the links for them to do the scoring and assessments of those Agile, the Agile outcomes they want, the top leadership, and see what they say. So it's interesting because you're watching people who are nervous, but you know, the groundswell is moving, and we'll see what the assessment does with that, but I'm really excited for them for that. And there's another transformation we're just kicking off. I'm more just watching as a fly on the wall, but getting a neat chance to see how different Agile coaches do some of these things, and how important process is as an approach to your Agile coaching toolbox. If you're good with process, like hand holding them through all the steps and telling what the steps are, I was watching it, like that really gives them comfort. We got great feedback. The agenda set, here's what's going to happen next, this is what you need to do. These are emails are going out. So those are some things going on, but that's all I got on announcements.
Question.
And
Question for you. Do you attend the retreats?
I did. I'm not going to this one. There's been times actually literally just came in just for the day of the retreat and didn't stay for the conference. You mean the Scrum gathering?
No, the coaching retreat.
Oh, I have not done a coaching retreat from the Scrum Alliance, or a different one. You mentioned AC.
Scrum Alliance, yeah.
Yeah, I keep hearing mixed reviews. So if you're thinking about going, send the information to me. I'll take a look. I keep checking and I think about it and then I wait.
At first it was just one in Queensland, and now it looks like there's 2, one in Greece and one in Queensland in Australia this year. So
if that's in your wheelhouse,
here's why I asked. Let me interrupt you, because years ago I looked at everything and I said, you know, my goal is to be an enterprise coach. And Scrum Alliance does empower you if you get the CEC to give some basic, you know, certifications for people that you're working with, things like that. So there's an additional value to it. And so I put my toe in the water back then, and I didn't like the responses that I got from some of the sponsors. And so I disengaged. And then recently I had the opportunity, me and another senior coach at CAT decided to go take the ICP ENT, and that was fantastic. I mean, it's still, I think there were 1 or 2 people in there that, you know, fogged the screen and got the ICP ENT, but most of the people were coaches and really engaged and you know, participating in exercises. And it's just a week of learning and shaping and maturing a lot of different tools around, you know, that coaches and enterprise coaches will use, some with leaders, some with teams, some with organizations and things like that. And so now I'm kind of coming around and I'm like, well, one of my requirements for Scrum Alliance is that I go either volunteer or participate or attend events. I've never been a big event guy. Sometimes it's just because it hasn't worked out timing wise based on, you know, what I'm doing. And other times it was like, okay, now if I want to go to this, it's out of pocket. I'm not going to spend the money on that. And you know, so I'm building a case to go to the Queensland retreat. And I just wanted everyone in this room, have you been to a retreat? Did you find value in it? Did it advance you towards a CTC or CEC? What are your thoughts?
I've talked to people who went to some that were up in Berkeley, I believe.
Yeah, there was only one in the US in like 6 years or something.
Yeah, but the people who went to it and enjoyed it, they met good people, great content, good networking. I don't know if I would go to other continents. I don't have enough to know if going to other continents would be worth it, but they enjoyed more than just perfunctory enjoyed. They really did seem to think it was a great opportunity. Whether it helps lead to certifications or not, probably in some of them, the people who are the adjudicators go to those, but I wouldn't know about a European one or an Australian one.
Yeah, I have been to some great retreats. They weren't like the official Scrum Alliance coaching retreats, and got a lot of value. But the truth is, now I'm reflecting on that, Scott, it's because of who was there. If the right people are there, it can be fabulous. And if they're not, you're sitting there like, this sucks. The snacks are good, but there's no meaningful conversation here. So, and I'm big on community. I think there's a lot of value that comes out of it. We used to host, you know, we did an Orange County Scrum Day. We've done leadership summits and that kind of stuff. And I really, really like it. And I just haven't entered back in since COVID. So I'm intrigued by what you're saying, Scott. I think I'd like to maybe keep that thread going, because I'm not sure. I hear mixed reviews on the Scrum gathering coaching retreats, and that's sad to me, because it should be already this great set of people. And I'm just not hearing consistently good stuff compared to others. So maybe there's other offerings. If you know,
years ago, like Ben, you mentioned Alicia. Alicia was trying to get me to go to London with her to the coaching retreat when it was in London, because they rarely have it in the US, right? That one in San Francisco was like the only one in 10 years or something like that. So, and she believed in it and told me it was valuable, but I mean, that might just be the circumstances.
so she got good value out of it. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, but it was
Okay.
a long time ago. It was 6 or 7 years ago, at least.
Okay. Well, I think there's something there, to be honest. I've been coming back to that for a while, and it's not hard to put something like that together, really. And the fact that there's not been one in the US for this long is sad. And why the heck not? There's a whole lot of coaches here. But anyways, or maybe there's a hybrid version of we'll just do an online one or a small one and see where it goes. But mainly I go back to, if we get the right people there, it'd be cool. You know, bring in Roger Brown, see if Lisa Atkins would show up for a little bit, you know. Maybe Jeff Watts would join from the UK, get Bob Gale. You know, I don't know. I'd be happy to reach people, because I think even like what Ben was just saying, you get these new ideas like, wow, that's really cool. I haven't heard about that before. That's the kind of stuff that I would like. So anyways, if you're really noodling about it and you want to find a different option, let me know. If you just want to try that as a flyer, you know, go for it. Probably won't regret it, but I just wish I can't comment more. I wish I could. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Yeah, we should be better about this. I don't know. Okay. Glad you asked. I'm glad I could be of no help to you on that one, Scott. Can't say anything.
I'm spending Cat's money. Am I putting it in the right place? So
I do think
the Orlando event is no good for me, because I have a family vacation in Hawaii this year, so I kind of crossed that one off the list.
So you gotta do what you gotta do.
So yeah. So I'm like, I really should, if I'm gonna ever get back to advancing myself towards CEC, I need to go to some of these Scrum Alliance events. And
I think the CEC is worth it. I know it's been a battle for some people. I need to check and see if Larry Law had got his CTC. For those who know him, I thought he did. But I'll also add this, Scott, if you help put something together and you got people that'll help you, I'll help you. That would look really good. Like you help organize it. I've seen that be big help for some people. And like I said, nowadays, virtually, it doesn't have to be a massive load to carry. But I will say of all certifications, the CEC is to me by far the most valuable to me. And it's doesn't even really have market value. It means a lot to me that my peers said, we think you know your stuff. That's
And
it.
I've gotten to work with maybe a dozen CECs. Everyone was top notch, present company included.
Oh, where's my little heart emoji?
But I mean,
you have the
think about it.
CST also, right, Scott?
What?
You have the CST.
I have the CST as well.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to tell a story since you brought that up, Scott, because I was reflecting on that CEO quarterback thing, and I'm thinking, what was my motivation? And the great thing about it for both of those, it was I just wanted to keep learning and growing. And the CST at that time, I was like, well, that's how you do it. It was never about the money. It was never about the classes. It's like, well, this is the path to go at the time. And then the CSC, then CEC came out later. And I'm so grateful for that. Pursuing for that reason.
I was talking to Mike Cohn about what you need to do for the CST, and then at the time it was 5 and 5, and when I saw that, I was like, no, I don't know how I can make that happen. You have to co-train with 5 different trainers 5 times each, right?
I know.
I'm like, that's ridiculous. I can't do that. I can't go away from a current job. If I was between jobs, I couldn't afford to do that. How do you make that happen? So
that thing has been a subject of contention for a long time. It might change. You can keep your eyes open, but I do agree it's incredibly valuable. But yeah, I know a guy who spent like $50,000 just trying to get all that checked off the box. It's tough. It's tough. But also I will say now the market, I would never tell someone. I've actually told some people like, you do not want to enter this crazy post-COVID market where you're competing with people from India to do the class. I mean, it's like it hits all these other areas. So I'm kind of glad actually that is one way as a driver for people wanting to become CSTs, because I want the people to get in front of others to have the right reasons, the motives, not the sage on the stage, because it goes back to that quarterback thing. Well, great, now you're the Mr. Expert. It can do bad stuff to people. So CEC 100% yes, and there's some other pluses that might be of interest to you, but and we've helped a few others on that journey if you're interested in what that could look like. But I'm glad you're looking into it. I think community's good. Gotta take off.
Okay.
All right. See you, Ben.
Bye, Crystal.
Scott.
See you.
All right. See you, Carol.
Good talking to you, Scott.
It's great to see you. Thanks for coming.
See you soon, Ben.
Yeah.
East West. Yep.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.